All right, we are live. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome or welcome back. This is our podcast, Maybe We're Just Rambling, and we are your hosts. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Stuart.
And this is a podcast where we just talk about anything off the cuff, whatever is in our hearts and on our minds for the day. And we've covered a pretty wide range of topics. Well, not super wide, but at least if you listen to every single episode up to this point, I feel like at this point you should be getting a decently good sense of who we are, the kind of people that we are, the things that we care about. Not the least of which is just our life and everything that we've built for ourselves. But crazy as it is to say, so this is our 19th episode, which means that our 20th episode is right around the corner. And I feel like that's a little bit of a milestone because I never really know week to week what's going to happen with this podcast, and like I have no idea what the future of this podcast is or where it's going to take us or how far we're going to go with it. So the fact that we've been here for almost 20 episodes now is kind of cool.
Well, another thing that we have to think about too is that it's not for, we're not seeking some gain out of this on the back half of it.
True.
This is kind of just a fun way to ramble and maybe at some point go back and listen to ourselves and see how things have changed. So you have to enjoy it first before you can, seek out doing it for another reason, I think.
This is true.
And so we've stuck with it so far. Some of them have been
a little rough.
Definitely a little rough. And some of them have been a whole lot of fun. Which one was your favorite?
I really liked the episode that we did where I got to talk about kind of like my health and fitness journey, because it's a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, and I don't talk about it as often as I think about it. And so that was really, really cool. I liked that a lot. What about you?
Well, mine was about my ram and racing and all the people that I've met through it and just the community and that. Because both of us, we don't exactly live like the most traditional life, but
obviously.
Obviously. But the people that I've connected with, that in spite of all the differences we may have, found a common thing in like taking our full-size pickup trucks and going to the drag strip and being faster than anyone said we could. That was cool, getting to talk through that.
Yeah, I feel like the people that you meet along the way, just along like your life's journey, really are the bread and butter of what make life interesting. It really is all about, people and the other souls that we kind of like share this plane of existence with, and the experiences that you have and everything. And actually, this episode is kind of inspired by the people that we've met recently, because I feel like whenever we put ourselves out there into social situations, as difficult as that could be for you and I, because we're not super outgoing, vivacious people in that way.
I'm a little socially awkward.
Whenever we do that, though, we are never let down. We've had so many positive experiences with people, especially just since we've gotten to Idaho, and it's kind of, I think, what inspires this episode a little bit, too, because we've just met some really, really awesome people lately.
Yeah, so I think we'll talk about kind of I'd like to talk about like our impressions of this place in Idaho, and the people that are here, and like along our journey to get here, and then being here at this ranch/RV park. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And do you want to go ahead and can we go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you lead the way.
All right. Well, my first notable experience of something positive happening in Idaho was the whole thing we talked about several episodes ago about safety on the road.
Yeah.
And dealing with a dispatcher behind 911 and sheriff's deputies when we had a scary situation where some people were following us out in the middle of nowhere. And they weren't leaving, and we just had to keep driving.
And it was late at night and dark, and you can
and
go
snowing.
back and listen to that whole episode if you haven't heard it already.
Yeah, that was freaky. But the people there and in like the small towns along this like western stretch of Idaho were I've had so many good experiences, and that was my first one.
Mhm. Yeah, that really stands out as being a unique experience because I think you and I both have had our fair share of interactions with law enforcement, and you want every single interaction to be a positive one, but unfortunately they just aren't.
Hmm.
And so whenever you do have a positive interaction or a situation that kind of leaves you feeling better than the way that you felt when you entered into it, that's going to stay in your
Hmm.
mind. So that's very, very true. I think for me, the experiences and interactions that I've noticed that I've kind of continued to think about after the fact are interactions, like very random interactions that I'll have with people, like when we go to the grocery store or I went and got my hair cut like 2.5 weeks ago, and everybody at the salon was super, super nice, and it's just I think notice those moments because it highlights the humanity in
Hmm.
people that I think can oftentimes get lost, especially when you, like, so much of us, we live in such a technologically driven world, and social media, regardless of whether or not you want to admit it, it influences so much of our worldview. And if you spend a lot of time on social media and not a lot of time out in the real world, then it can really start to color your perception of people. And I know for me personally, I've often felt like the world has become increasingly negative over time.
Hmm.
And so whenever I go out and I'm actually talking to people in the real world and interacting with the locals, I find that that negativity that I feel starts to regress quite a bit. And I'm reminded of the fact that for the most part, like, I really do believe the vast majority of people are good. Like, we're all just trying to make it day to day to take care of ourselves and our families and carve out a little bit of a life for ourselves on this planet while we can.
Yeah.
And there are so many, like, forces at play that would like us all to forget that. And it's easy to forget about it if you don't go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. This kind of leads into another experience, and it's an ongoing experience that is probably going to be like one of the major highlights of Idaho for me, and that's with our employer.
Mhm.
So we're at an RV park and ranch in Idaho, and as we came into the town that we're outside of, there was a last name just like plastered on all these road signs that they were running for a political office, and it was like, wow, that's the same name, isn't it?
Mhm.
And it's like we started looking it up, and we started seeing their values, and then fast forward to now where we work. Um, that person is who they say they are in a lot of
Very
ways,
high
and
caliber.
very high caliber. This is like the pro family thing, the we're tired of what's going on in our state's capital. I'm going to do something about it because
Mhm.
nobody else will.
Mhm.
Not out of want, but out of necessity, doing things to get the job done. And that's just something that's going to keep resonating with me
Yeah, me too.
far beyond leaving here, is that there are so many communities across our country and world where people are not just sticking with what's popular online
Not just following
and
the status
not
quo.
following status quo. Like our employer on their political page on social media, uh, up and down the comments getting ripped apart. Well, lo and behold, guess what? They just won their primary.
Mhm.
So, as you see it on the internet, is not actually what the real world is.
This
And
is
we've known
true.
that for several years with the big divide that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
um, the Great Divide. Yeah, but it's refreshing to see it again and again that people are wanting to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I think there really are good people out there who
Hmm.
are quote unquote fighting the good fight and who really do care about um, like solid core values that I think are kind of becoming lost if all that you consume is what comes out of, like, Hollywood and stuff, you know?
Hmm. Holly Weird or Wood?
Hollywood.
Oh, that was intentional.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that there are really good people, and this little pocket of the country that we found ourselves in kind of exemplifies that in a really special way. And I think it's
Absolutely.
kind of reminded us of some things that while we were still aware, they were not as in the forefront of our mind as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really, really cool. But being in such a beautiful part of the country, we're having an absolute blast. Just working day to day, it feels good to kind of have a job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was thinking about it, and I haven't had like a traditional job since like the end of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I had my accident and everything, and then I didn't go back to work until now. So I've been out of the quote unquote workflow for a long time, but it feels good to be kind of getting back into that and to like have something that's driving your day and have a little bit more of that structure. There are times where I don't like it and don't want it, but I think it can be really, really beneficial. And I think because we're in such a positive place, we don't mind putting in the time and the energy and the labor and working day to day. It's been a super positive experience, and the views are fantastic.
Yeah, I've never had a backyard and a front yard like this, or either, truthfully.
It's really wild.
But yeah, this is a wild, quite nearly frontier, and it's been really cool because mentally, I think I need that structure of having things to do. So like when I got out of the Navy, I worked at Home Depot. After I got out and moved up to Connecticut where you were, and then in Texas I worked at a lumber yard, and then we were going to school, and now we're able to do this in the meanwhile and throughout this summer, this 6-month stint or so, and it's been really, really rewarding.
I definitely think you're the kind of person that thrives off of like structure,
or at least like having something like to
direction.
be passionate for. If I can find something to be physically passionate for, it doesn't matter if it would be on like land that we had where we were building a house from the ground up. I would, yeah, I need that. It's funny.
Yeah, it's just really nice to see you feeling really good about life again.
Thank you.
And in keeping with just meeting people, being at an RV park, we've met already, not even a month into this, we've met some really, really cool people, locals from the area, and then people just from all over the state of Idaho and even further too. And it's been really, really cool to have these interactions and talk to these people and kind of get their take on life and everything. And we actually had a really cool experience on Saturday. I'll let you kind of tell everybody about it if you want to.
Yeah. So our gig here, being the park host, is checking people in and making sure things are up to par. Kind of like keeping everything presentable, as in try and take care of everything and make it a very positive experience for all the guests. And along with that, we're like trying to enforce some rules, in not like a screaming at people kind of way. But I walked over to a guy that had gotten out of a truck and was pulling a boat, and I didn't know that he was with the RV that was parked in the spot next to us. As I came in, if you don't mind, if you're going to be here, can you park down in the overflow parking just in case anybody else needs to like pull their RV out, yada yada yada. He's like, yeah, sure. I was like, all right, well, are you staying with them? Or he's like, no, that's my RV. We just got it. It's like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's like $5 a day for your whole trailer and truck and all that stuff. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, I can just put it on the card on file. And I said, that's a nice boat. What are y'all up to? And he was just like, oh, yeah, we came down. I grew up about an hour away, but we come down and, go out on the river. This is my 3rd time this month. And I was like, dang. All right, man, well, have a good one. Take care. Let us know if you need anything. And he's like, have you ever been? I was like, no, we haven't been on a jet boat yet. But we'll have to put in some pictures and videos.
We will, for sure.
But when I say this is a jet boat, this is like a 6 captain chair with air suspension in the seats. Jet boat, enclosed cabin cockpit of a like metal box with way too much power. And
they're really unique.
Yeah, crazy. And he was like, do you want to go? We're going out tomorrow. It's like, I'm gonna go ask. I'll be right back. Yeah, just hold that thought. And so initially we'd been like, no, we said we were going to do this tomorrow. But we were able to move our schedule around, and we went out with them. They pulled up to the beach here at the park, and along the river, we just went down like 30 or 40 miles. Spent a whole day out on the river.
It was incredible.
Crazy experience of like once in a lifetime thing. I'm going to be talking about till I'm 80.
These boats are really, really unique because they are so incredibly powerful, but they have to be in order to navigate the rapids and the currents on this river. And they actually race, not the kind of size boat that we were on, I think a slightly smaller version. They actually have jet boat races every single year on this river, and it's like a really, really big deal. People come from all over the state and I don't know, maybe even the country to race these jet boats on the river. And you really have to know what you're doing to drive these boats and navigate the river channel, because the channel is all over the place. Like, it's not a straight line, and with the water levels rising and falling with snow melt and rain and everything, it's constantly shifting and moving around, and you have to be able to read the water.
There's a rock right under the surface there.
Yeah, you have to know exactly where you are and where you're going, and it's pretty impressive what these people are able to do with these boats. But it was a lot of fun, and we went so far upriver. I mean, it's like the only way to get as far in as we were was by boat, or like a couple days worth of hiking, or maybe like flying. Like, we were far into the wilderness. What was it? The Williams Church?
No, it was the Frank Church.
Frank Church Wilderness area, which is just it's a huge wilderness area, and we were pretty far in there. And just being that far out and that remote was really, really cool. And the river is just so much bigger when you're on it than it looks from the shore. Like,
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And you're cruising along through these canyons with these like sheer rock faces on either side of you, and like towering pine trees growing at impossible angles, and like bighorn sheep hanging out on like these. It just looks like they're just chilling on the edge, finding these impossible little footholds. It's just incredible. And that's just one example of one experience that we've had so far, and we haven't even been here a month.
Yeah, we're already learning that it pays to be social here. Actually,
It does.
Tonight our meal was covered by another guest here at the RV park. They're like, "Hey, we made way too much. We have kebabs." I looked at you. I was like, "Oh, we're going." All I need is for you to verbalize that, because I'm kind of drooling as these people are.
Everybody is so friendly. I mean, obviously you get your one-offs, or somebody's having a bad day, or like they want to be just crotchety for whatever reason, but the vast majority of people are so friendly and welcoming, and they just want to have a conversation and ask questions. And the cool thing about it, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying about like getting out and actually talking to people and interacting with people, is we had a cool conversation with the same people that we went out on the boat with, and it was like we were just talking about life. It was around their campfire, like later on in the evening, and so I mean, I don't know, there's something about sitting around a campfire that breaks down barriers. And it was like we had only known them for like less than a day, really.
Yeah.
But we could have been like the oldest friends, sitting around the campfire just talking about everything under the sun. And it was really, really cool because we had a lot of the same values and took issue with a lot of the same things and had shared a lot of the same perspectives. And we didn't know them from Adam,
Right.
24 hours before.
Yeah, you don't want to like pour your heart out to someone with like all the things that you think that are probably very fringe to some people. But like the more we like threw out a little bit of this about us, they were throwing out more, and then it was like we pretty much every barrier just ended up like getting removed by the end of the night.
And we had great conversation with these people, and it's like, I don't know, I would have never had that experience if I hadn't put myself in the way of like getting this job and being here. And so it's been really, really cool to have those kinds of interactions. And again, it makes me come back to how important it is to step away from our media, whatever type of media it is, and actually go outside. But in addition to all of these awesome like human interactions that we're having, we're also taking the time on our off days to get out and explore the area, because like we've mentioned a few times, we are like in the cusp of so many incredible like wilderness areas, national forests, parks.
Just views of craziness, looking from ridges where you can see
Oh
mountain
gosh.
ranges 25 miles away, and you're just like,
It's
oh
stunning.
my
The size
goodness.
of everything is just, you feel so tiny. And we've done a couple of hikes so far that have been a ton of fun. We did a hike along the river a couple of weeks ago. We did another hike up a creek back into the hills. And then tomorrow we're planning on doing another hike that's actually,
On like a pack trail.
yeah, it's like a pack trail. So I'm really looking forward to it. But I've been enjoying getting out and hiking more, and I'm really glad that you've been willing to do that with me, because I know
Hmm.
like hiking has traditionally been more like my thing than your thing.
Yeah, well, here, let's break down hiking. I think that hiking is super cool. I do not think walking on a beaten trail or road that everyone else has been on is super cool. You get some nice views, but a lot of time you can get those same views driving. Um, but I like the challenge, the scramble, and like going to a summit and a peak.
Mhm.
But
I mean, yeah, that's all very good and well, and I like those things too. I think where we differ is just that like if there's no path to get to the summit, you will hack your own. And like I'm not down to do that. Like I
oh
don't want
yeah,
to do that.
oh yeah, I'm on all fours and just being like, oh, it's not that bad. Just grab this tree and wedge yourself onto the other side of it and then dig your toes in.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've realized that the things that excite you about hiking and the things that excite me are very, very different.
Well, I like I'm not saying you don't, but I like adding challenge to things.
And it's like for me, going out and hiking a distance and like going into these wilderness areas, that's enough of a challenge for me. Like I don't feel the need to up the ante even more,
Yeah.
but you definitely do. And that's okay, because luckily we're in an area where you and
there's
I can both scratch our itch.
there's a peak. Um, there's about a 2,000 foot rise to my left, and there's about a 2,200 foot rise to my right. I'm in a nice big canyon. I
Mhm.
really want to just get crazy one day.
Yeah, we're gonna have glutes of steel by the time we leave.
Oh yeah, my hams already feel it. Yeah.
Mhm. So I think all told so far we've hiked, I mean, such a small amount. I think
I'd
we've
say
maybe
about
hiked,
15 miles.
yeah, and with tomorrow maybe we'll hit 20. But our goal is to like continually push ourselves and do like more and more strenuous hikes, because later on in the season, once the snow melts and everything, we really, really want to hike Hell's Canyon and hike up
Yeah.
to, I don't know what that summit is.
So we're in the region where Hell's Canyon is in Idaho, and there's like the 7 mountain peaks in the area. They're called
Oh,
the
the
seven.
Seven
They're called
Devils.
the 7 devils. There's like the he devil, the she devil, the this devil,
The
the that
Goblin
devil.
Devil.
Yeah, the this devil, the that devil. um, but I want to be on a peak, and we'll work our way up to it. But we're looking at like 11,000 plus feet of like gasping. So we're gonna
We
need to
have
work our
to,
way up to that.
yeah, we have to increase our endurance. The Hell's Canyon area is really, really cool, and the Seven Devils Mountains have a really cool, not origin story, but the story of how they got their name is really, really neat, and it's basically all Nez Perce legend, where they trapped these like demons that were harassing them into these mountains, and then they created a split in the ground to keep them trapped there and away from all of the people, and that's Hell's Canyon. So you have the Seven Devils, and then Hell's Canyon's what kind of keeps them contained according to like legend. And it's really, really cool. I mean, it's like a really gnarly area, and some epic hikes that you can do once the snow melt is completely gone. And it's crazy that it's almost June and there's still snow, but there is quite a bit. And from what most people have told us, you can't even really get up that far until like late June, July.
And then by the end of September, it's starting to go away again.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were on a ridge last week,
Mhm.
and we could see all that from about 25 miles away. And it's like, oh my goodness, look at that over there. But it's all white. It literally looks like something out of Lord of the Rings.
It really
And
does.
it's
It's
just,
stunning.
it's dead on winter up there. They're still getting hammered with snowfall.
Mhm.
Um, Meanwhile, here I think today it probably hit 80.
Yeah, I think it did. The weather's finally starting to get really beautiful, and I think The rain is starting to slack off, which that means our days of having really lush green vistas to look at is probably limited. But yeah, I think we're starting to get into the warmer seasons.
There will be grass to grow, mow, and weed eat.
For sure. So that's kind of what our past month has looked like.
This has been a hodgepodge of all kinds of things,
Yeah,
guys.
meeting lots of people, doing some really solid work in an environment that we really, really like, and then finding time during our off days to go explore and hike and be in nature. I think all around being here is going to be a very positive, beneficial experience for both of us, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and in so many ways I feel like it's exactly what we need, and we're receiving it all exactly when we need it, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. So I might even end up. I'm always from Texas, okay, but I'm gonna like be really sad to go from here. I'll leave here kicking and screaming almost. If it keeps up and like exponentially keeps getting better, it's like, how much better can like every corner you turn, it's like
Paradise.
whoa. Every other corner, it's like wow.
Yeah, this place is really, really special, and I completely understand now why people are so drawn to it, and why the people who live here are so reluctant to like allow outsiders in, because I think it's one of those really special places where the people who live here realize how special it is. Like they haven't become inoculated to the sheer awesomeness of it.
Yeah, that's another super cool thing about being um, this family that we work for, is that everyone here knows like the value of everything here, and
The land
and of the land especially, just very appreciative. Like there's so many old practices done here. Like I cleaned a ditch this last week, that is an irrigation ditch that's a couple miles long, that's used to irrigate um, massive swaths of land for cattle and for hay, and it's just it's crazy.
yeah,
All the old practices.
there's a lot of
And
good examples of people using like older
husbandry.
technologies and land management practices and kind of leveraging the natural resources to their benefit, but doing it in a really sustainable way, which is awesome to see. So I have no idea what the rest of our summer will hold. I mean, I think that every time I think I have my like anticipation set, the bar just gets raised a little bit more, and it's like this place just keeps giving and giving. So it's been really, really awesome. I mean, I have to reiterate for anybody who's listening to this, like, you've got to get out there and see the world. Like,
you don't have to go to Idaho.
No, just get out of your own backyard and stretch out a little bit and go a little bit further than you've been before, because there are so many awesome experiences waiting, and the only thing that's keeping you from being able to have them are your own set of limitations, whatever those may be for yourself. And if you can just do something to step out from that and kind of give yourself some of those experiences, you deserve to have them. Like, you really, really do. And it expands who you are as a person, and it expands your worldview, and I'm such a believer.
Yeah.
I really, really am. I don't know if I have anything else that I want to talk about.
I mean, we kind of gave a recap on our time since we've been here, and I don't really have a whole lot more to say. We haven't done a whole lot, but we've seen a whole lot, and it's hard to verbalize all that. In the same way, like family always asks for pictures or videos, and thankfully with that jet boat experience, I had the mental foresight to record and take a whole bunch of pictures. And something that, if I was telling family, we went out on a jet boat, not at all what they thought it was.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities to kind of like record this experience and keep it for perpetuity.
These experiences will only get better, and we'll be able to go out and do this in different places over the course of time. And here's something interesting I could touch on, that you were like, wow, that's a crazy thought.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it's that nomadic peoples have been the reason for civilization's advancement. And it's not like saying get out and go be disconnected from the world, but dare to be a little bit different, and that's what makes us progress as a society. If we keep stuck in the same thing, you're not doing anything of great benefit.
Yeah, you said that when we were sitting around the campfire, and
I
it
was a
was
little
just
tipsy
like,
too, so.
well, yeah, so it like really hit home, but I heard that and I was like, wow, you're really right, because there are we've received our like fair share of criticism for living the life that we do and doing the things that we do and going off the beaten path. But if you think about it, like you said, civilizations have been advanced by nomadic peoples, by peoples who left the confines of society and pushed past that and redefined what it means to be a society and a civilization. And so when you kind of think about it in that perspective, it's like you say, not that we're like, making history or anything like that, but we, along with everybody else who kind of lives this life, we're redefining what normal is, and the expectations that you can have for your life and the things that you can do with it. And in a way, it's a kind of pioneerism, and I think that that's really, really cool, and it really resonated with me. So I'm glad that you said that, and I feel like we're in such a good spot to really embrace that and lean into that idea. And that's another reason why, like, I so badly just want to get out and explore and experience this state and all of the natural beauty that it has to offer. And for now, we're doing that through just a lot of hiking and exploring it on foot, and it's been so much fun.
And we have like a base set up to do it, which is really nice. Sometimes, clearly, it's really nice to just go and be complete strangers in a land, but here we're going to slowly not become complete strangers to this place.
We're integrating just a little bit.
Yeah, we're integrating enough to get just another little piece of the puzzle to this place, and that's really cool. But we've been intentionally doing, like, everything that we do is like we've tried to do it and think about like the long-term impact of, well, do we need to do this, or should we do that, or should we wait on this and that? There's a lot of exciting things coming. We've done so many things so far, like solar and
composting
toilet
toilet.
and just things that give us the opportunity to put ourselves in the way of good things.
Actually, I was thinking about it. We are almost, we're within a few months of it, rounding the bend on having had our composting toilet for a year. Ooh. I mean, it's a few months away yet. We won't hit that anniversary until September, but it's coming up, and I was thinking I need to
figure out the bugs of it, and I say bugs with a quote because
literally.
Yeah.
I was thinking I need to do like a follow-up about what our experience has been like living with a composting toilet and everything. And I don't know, maybe we could even kind of do an episode talking about that. If that's something that you guys would be interested in hearing, definitely let us know and we can talk about. Because our composting toilet, if you don't know, is one that we DIY built ourselves. So it's not like the super fancy like Nature's Head or Sea Head. It's a little bit different. So if you're interested in that, we can definitely talk about that at some point. But yeah, it's like all of the things that we've done, they're really paying off. And
we have stuff on the boat from China and things to help us be able to go out and have all these experiences. It's really cool. And the things that we're doing going forward to try and set ourselves up for more of this. It's just really
When you say we have things on the boat from China, what do you mean by that?
We have things coming on a boat from China right now.
Okay. I was just clarifying that because it sounded kind of funny when you said that. It was kind of like a little bit out of context.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, we have things on a boat from China. I was like, wait,
we have
what?
things coming on a boat from China for the RV, for solar and batteries and yada yada yada. You can cut this part out maybe. It's a secret. We'll reveal it at some point whenever I make sure I didn't burn the RV down.
It's all very exciting. But yeah, that's kind of been our update on what the past month and everything has been like. So I don't have anything else. Do you?
I don't either. I think we should finish with our feel-good story. Actually, here, why don't you say a little bit about what we ran into at the end of our jet boating
Oh
experience, the
yeah, I
farthest
really
part
should,
away
because
first.
that's really really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, quick sidebar. Um, so we went really really far into the wilderness area, and the people that we were with, they were like, yeah, we're gonna go up to Buckskin Bills, and I was like, Buckskin Bills, and they're like, yeah, it's really cool history.
I thought they meant Buffalo Bills.
I was like, okay. I was like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Like, I'm still learning the area. Well, come to find out, so back in like the 40s or 50s, there was a guy, and he became known as Buckskin Bill, but I don't know what his like um, Christian name is.
Sylvan Hart.
So okay, Sylvan Hart. So how did he become Bill?
He became Buckskin because I think it was his middle name was William, but he became
Oh,
Buckskin because
oh, I know
he
why.
wore buckskin, and the Forest Service rangers were like, dude, you stink. You smell like buckskin.
That's right. So this guy, he was a like a college educated, very intelligent man. He served in the military during World War II, and he had like an engineering degree. Really really smart guy. He bought 50 acres in just what was then the wilderness upriver from where we are now for like $1 back in the 50s. Basically because he got tired of society and he wanted to get away from people and just live in the wilderness. And he built himself a home and milled all of his own tools. He made his own like guns, and he really liked making swords and helmets and that kind of thing. And from the pictures, he kind of just looks like a kooky, kind of nerdy dude. Like he just wanted to live alone and build his things and have his own existence. Well, in like the 50s or so, they signed, what was it, the Wilderness Act? Um, and they basically wanted to take his land via like eminent domain, and they tried to say like, it's not safe for you to be out here, like you're crazy for wanting to be out here, blah blah blah. And he was like, well, it's my land and you're not going to take it from me and I'm not leaving. And so the government was like, okay, well, if we come back here, like you're going to get the long arm of the law. And he was like, if you come back here, I will blow you out of the river. Like, you're not going to believe what I have built if you come back here and try to evict me. And long story short, he won out, and they were finally like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with this one person living out here. Like, he's known as like the last of the mountain men, because he was truly living like in like alongside nature, and having a very low impact on the natural environment, and they kind of allowed him to continue to be there almost as like a piece of living history.
Yeah, they were like, they made an exception. They were like,
Yeah.
well, one guy is not going to have that big of an impact on this whole wilderness, and that part kind of got lost to history, and because I think it wasn't a very bright point for the government
No. To admit that they lost.
to admit that they lost. I mean, this guy like built a turret and had like bunkers and stuff.
Yeah, we'll
And
post pictures on our Instagram of what all this stuff looked like, but it's all still there. Like you can go and see the bunker and the turret that he built so that he could like keep an eye on what was coming up the river. He's buried on the property to this day, so you can go and see his grave. We saw that. And the property is managed by a woman who has been there for the last 30 years. We actually talked to her
she was very
a little
socially
bit.
awkward, but she hadn't seen anybody since last summer, I think.
Yeah, she said that they get like 10,000 visitors throughout the year once the summer ramps up, but I think the rest of the time she's pretty much by herself. And she was a little bit kooky, but really, really friendly. And she was interesting because she said that she was originally from Germany and had basically like been traveling through the area, and something happened and she just ended up staying, and
Just
she's
broke
been there,
down and decided to
stayed
stay.
there ever since.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really cool experience. And then actually yesterday we had somebody check into the RV park, an older guy who said that he used to go downriver and hang out with Buckskin Bill when he and his friends, when they were all like little boys.
Like, yeah,
And
boys and teenagers.
And I thought that was really, really cool. So anyway, that's just such a cool piece of American history, something that I never would have known about if we hadn't like gone upriver and been with somebody who knew. So learning about that little piece of Idaho history, and learning about Buckskin Bill and kind of his outlook on life and everything was really, really cool. And yeah, it was just a cool story that I'm going to take with us going out. But
It was cool because he was nomadic too. If you think about it.
Yeah, until he found some place that he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of rounds up our episode. And
Yeah.
do you want to? Can we get into our feel good story, or
Sure.
what do we call this? The feel good story?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what is today's date? Today is May 24th, 2022. And if you do anything on the internet or watch TV, you know about this horse that won the Kentucky Derby. Well, let me tell you a story that I found on Facebook, and I thought it was really uplifting. It's about this horse that won the Kentucky Derby.
This year.
So, it says, last year, a 2-year-old colt finished dead last in his first race. Disappointed, his owners placed him in a claiming race where anyone could take ownership for a fee. An older man purchased the colt after missing the chance to claim another horse he wanted. He said it was his last attempt to find some success in the racing industry. The colt won by 17 lengths, and his new owner was encouraged. But in the races that followed, he finished third twice, fourth once, and fifth once. His owner, however, still believed in him. 2022 was the colt's only chance to race in the major thoroughbred races, which are limited to 3-year-olds. The day before the Kentucky Derby, the field of horses was already full, but then, at the last moment, a famous trainer scratched his horse, or withdrew it. The colt took that place in the field of 20 horses just 30 seconds before the entry deadline. Suddenly he was in the game, and suddenly he had a chance. All the metrics and predictors were against him. Neither his owner, his trainer, nor his jockey had ever even been associated with any horse in the Kentucky Derby. His jockey had never won a major event. So, with that being said, they were decidedly outsiders and newbies in an extremely elite arena. And on the morning of the race, his odds of winning were set 80-1, 80-1, and that was the second longest odds ever in the Kentucky Derby's history. Halfway around the track, the colt was 16 horses back from the lead. He couldn't even be seen in the field of view as the drone camera flew above the race, and he was a nobody, a throwaway, and an inconsequential participant. And then he made his move. He began working his way through the crowded pack, finding a few narrow, fleeting opportunities to improve his position. As they headed toward the finish line, he had miraculously moved up to 5th, then 4th, but still no one had even noticed him. Everyone's attention was firmly focused on the battle between the two famous frontrunners. Only seconds before the finish, he suddenly, almost magically, passed the two frontrunners, and the announcer struggled to identify him in saying his name in time. He said, almost in a single breath, "Rich Strike is coming up on the inside. Oh my goodness, the longest shot has won the Kentucky Derby." Where there is life, there is hope. Anything is possible. Don't let anyone count you out. Persistence and determination beat the odds. So that was really cool. And it goes on to say, you want to teach your kids a life lesson in 2 minutes? Show them the replay of the Kentucky Derby race. Not the best starting position, not the biggest horse, not the best horse. He only made it into the race on account of another horse having to scratch. So a $30,000 horse against a multi-million-dollar horse. It is not always about having the best of everything or being the biggest or being favored. It's about the size of the heart and the dedication to win and to excel in everything you do. Well done, Rich Strike.
I really like that story a lot. And I don't think we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but horse racing is near and dear to my heart in a kind of unique way because my parents met through like the horse racing industry. In a way, my dad was a groom and my mom worked with like broodmares and foals, and they met at a training academy for like training horses and stuff, and worked in that kind of industry for a long time. And I loved horses growing up. I still do. I think they're majestic, magical, incredible creatures and capable of just giving us so much, including just hope and inspiration and determination and all these wonderful things. And Rich Strike is just one example out of so many racehorses that have really set the bar so high and done some really, really incredible things. And I like that story. And if you haven't seen the video of him winning the Kentucky Derby. It's really, really cool. I mean, he just comes up out of nowhere and then smacks across the finish line, and like nobody even knows who he is.
This horse takes a gap of like several dozen yards, and within,
they're called furlongs.
Yeah, within several dozen furlongs, excuse me, and just closes it, and almost is going like 50% faster than every other horse there.
Just swallowing ground.
Yeah, just taking it up, and it's just all about wanting to win. And it was the second longest shot ever in the Kentucky Derby's history. That's crazy.
Yeah, so whenever we found that story, I was like, that has to be one of our feel-good stories for the podcast, because, I don't know, it just makes you feel good. It makes you feel determined, and like
that's the point of the
possible.
feel-good story, you know? It's to feel good.
So, anyway, I hope you guys liked hearing that story as much as we liked reading it. And, yeah, if you haven't seen the video footage of him winning the race, you should go and check it out, because it's pretty incredible.
But to close out, we will put all of, like, a whole bunch of pictures from our jet boating day, some of the hiking pictures that we've gotten, and some of the cool little creeks around here that we've been able to explore. We'll include this all in, like, our Instagram post. So check that out. It's on, the handle for it is @maybewe'rejustRambling. And if you can, share this with your friends or family or somebody who you think might enjoy this. We use Anchor. Anchor is a platform by Spotify, so our podcasts are on Apple Podcasts, they're on Google Podcasts, they're on Spotify.
They're on Prime now, they're on Amazon. Yeah, they're on Amazon Music /podcasts. They're all over the place, and it's really, really helpful if you'll take the time and just give us a rating, however many stars out of 5. We would hope it would be 5 stars.
No less than 3, folks, or I'm going to ask questions.
So if you would take just the 2 seconds and do that, it really does help the podcast out so much. Rating and reviewing is everything for the podcasting algorithm, and we really, really appreciate it. But all of that being said, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our ramble about all the things that we've seen and done so far in Idaho.
And I hope that maybe it'll inspire you to get out and see a little bit of your world, wherever you are.
Well, I'm Stuart.
And I'm Rebecca.
This has been our ramble.